Thank you all for joining us this afternoon as we talk about a serious issue that obviously has dominated the headlines, not just in South Carolina or in this country, but across the world. We, however, want to make it clear that Columbia is in the vanguard of setting the stage of what it means to build a world-class police department. We believe that in order to be a world-class police department, that you have to commit to strengthening the foundation of trust and accountability that exists between our communities and law enforcement agencies. We're proud that we have a solid foundation of trust to work with here. We have a fantastic command staff under direction of Chief Holbrook and Deputy Chief Kelly, wonderful officers on the streets of Columbia, along an established relationship based on true, strong community policing principles. I believe evidenced by the fact that we have such strong community leadership here with us today. However, we believe that if you're going to be a world-class 21st century law enforcement agency, that we all have to adapt. We all have to be incredibly responsive in meeting the needs of the day, and that we all have to do it together. Today we're here to talk about a few significant systemic issues that we're going to address here at the Columbia Police Department, with the hopes and prayers that other regional agencies as well as other national agencies will follow our lead in trying to make sure that we make America the country that we all know it can be. We want to roll out, and I'm gonna touch on some high points, and I'm going to defer to the chief, who's been doing. I will say Chief Holbrook's been doing a fantastic job leading this department. We're very, very thankful for his leadership and his vision. We're going to push for additional training, mandatory and ongoing training requirements for all sworn officers, including cultural sensitivity training, continuing strong community policing training, training in peaceful conflict resolution, de-escalation techniques, unconscious bias and discrimination recognition, making sure all of our officers are trained in mental illness recognition as well as chronic illness recognition. Mr. Davis, please join us. We're going to continue to work on improving diversity in our department. Our police department not only protects our city, it represents our city. From command to patrol, we strongly believe that the Columbus Police Force should be representative of the city's demographics. I'll let the chief touch on some of the efforts that he's already had underway as he's been trying to add more officers to our police force. We are also, and probably most importantly, going to have a significant focus on increased accountability throughout our organization. It's a three-pronged effort that starts with the establishment of an independent citywide human rights commission to review and investigate any and all claims of discrimination and abuse. This will be a citywide effort, not restricted to the Columbia Police Department. This commission will be tasked with reviewing and investigating all claims, again, of discrimination and abuse at the city. We will implement a citywide body camera initiative. Many of you know that the CPD has been leading in that space in our hospitality districts. We're expanding that to the four corners of our city. We will leverage any and all support that comes from the Department of Justice and the COPS program, but even if that support doesn't materialize, the chief is committed that we will have a full 100% body camera distribution at the department before the end of 2015. And we're going to implement a number of significant transparency reforms. Something I think, and I will tell you that we've been able to bounce some ideas off of a lot of people whose opinions that we respect, but a number of these came directly from the chief, and I will say that I was very impressed by these recommendations, including appointing a civilian representative to the Columbia Police Department's Internal Affairs Review Board, publishing an annual internal affairs report, and the report will include all complaints and dispositions as well as use of force data. We will be recording all violent crime suspect interviews beginning in the first quarter of 2015. This will be audio and video recording. We believe that, according to our solicitor, the CPD will be the first agency in the 5th Judicial Circuit to implement this. We'll be posting in progress calls for service on the CPD website, and as many of you know, the department has made the commitment to complete the national accreditation process, CALIA, by winter 2016. Lastly, we're going to continue our significant efforts in youth outreach and community outreach. Building on the success of the efforts this council has unanimously supported with our youth sports programs, the Columbia Youth Commission, our local My Brother's Keeper initiative that we've been working on with the White House. Our city is committed to continuing to engage our young people in collaborative efforts to help build a new foundation of trust and partnership. I'm going to defer to the Chief. Chief, if you want to talk maybe about some of the diversity efforts and anything else on here. Chief William Holbrook.
Thank you. First, I like to always say that it's a privilege to serve as the police chief here in Columbia. And, we have some of the most professional, courageous law enforcement officers I've ever served with here, and it's just certainly an honor. Good police departments are professional, innovative. They seek collaboration and community partnerships. And I was having a conversation with somebody just the other day, and we were having a conversation about just what's going on nationally, and and as I said at a community forum we had here post Ferguson, it was very difficult forum to attend with. The mayor threw me right in the middle of it. Thank you. But I tell you this, it was an eye-opening for me. It showed me how engaged this community is. I was very proud that I participated in it. And one of the last things I said was participation in this forum made me a better police chief. And I think as we move forward as a community, and with the support that I've seen from the city manager's office and our elected officials and the community that we serve, that tremendous support and collaboration is what will make us a better police department, and it'll continue to make me a better police chief. And I was very proud when the mayor brought some ideas with this initiative forward to me to be able to address to him. We have many of these things in play right now, and we put great emphasis on conflict resolution and community policing now, and mental illness recognition, and that's done through in service. We conflict resolution and de-escalation of conflict, I think, is so critical in how we move forward and how we recognize and respect one another and recognize situations that we're in. I've said from the very beginning, the word I use all the time is transparency and accountability, and we're going to be very proud to publicly share annually, and we'll be putting one out after the first of the year. We've just had a comprehensive assessment done of our professional standards division, and we're revamping how we do things. We're standing up a review board, and as the mayor mentioned, it was important to me that we have some citizen participation in that, and it's important to me that we have very fair, equitable due process for our officers, but that we're transparent internally and externally, and everybody knows when we do things, why we do things, and how we do things, and that's something we'll see in our professional standards report. Again, to me, that's sometimes we make mistakes. We're a young department. When you make mistakes, you own up to them. you figure out why they happened, and you make sure they don't ever happen again, and you move forward as a department. And that's, to me, that's how you establish credibility and trust from the public that you serve. We realize that it's very critical that our department reflects our community that we serve. We're challenged right now with staffing issues, so I look for a silver lining in everything. And this silver lining in this situation where we are so pressed to fill important staffing shortages, it's an opportunity for us to really concentrate on departmental diversity and reflecting our community. Right now, our department stands at our white males and females at 67%, African American males and females at 29%, and we can do better than that. I can also tell you that that is higher than national averages. So we have a good foundation to build on, but I know we can do better. And one of the ways we look to improve on that is being strategic in our recruitment efforts. We're in a great region to recruit. We got a number of black colleges and universities that we need to bring into our job fair rotation, and we're doing that. We're in the process of engaging community churches for job fairs, and again, this priority hiring is very important to, I think, how we address our diversity needs. The increased accountability, I think, is the way that we shore up any disconnect that we have with our community, and again, I think it's been just as accepted internally as it has been externally, and I'm real excited about moving forward with that. As the mayor mentioned, our body camera program is advancing very well. We're still testing a number of different cameras to use. We haven't settled on one, and we're trying not to move too quick just because of the fast and changing technology that's out there right now. We want to settle on something that we know is going to be reliable and produce just an outstanding product, both with audio and video. So these are some of the things that we're working on, but most importantly, and the thing that has impressed me the most about this department is the relationships that we have in the community, and our commitment to continue that open conversation and dialogue about any issue that's related to making our city safer and better, and continued collaboration with the police department. So thank you for allowing me to participate in this, and thank you all for.
It would be helpful, at least, there's several new faces up here that some of you may not be intimately familiar with. Can we just kind of go down just real quick, everyone say who you are, which organization you represent?
Annette Hairston Bodie. I'm with the Heathwood Park Neighborhood Association, Secretary President, Heathwood Park.
Dean Slade, President of the Columbia Council of Neighborhoods and Vice President Treasurer of the Seminary Ridge Neighborhood Association.
Reverend Aaron Bishop, Chairman of Richland One School Board, and also pastor of Grace Christian Church.
Pastor Michael Baker, pastor of the Greater St. Luke Baptist Church on Farrell Road and president of the National Action Network of the Midlands.
Brian DeQuincy Newman, Columbia City Council and Public Safety Committee Chair.
Delron Kelly, Columbia Police Department. Sam Davis, City Council, also a member of the Public Safety Committee.
Linda Richardson, Student Vice President of the University of South Carolina.
And also two more points I want to make. And of course, Councilwoman Tamika Isaac Devine and Jade Devine. We had another very important meeting set at 3 o'clock today that our city manager has taken full responsibility for. She would be here as well, and she's been intimately involved in helping us devise this plan as well, and we're thankful for that. We will have ongoing citywide communications with our constituents about this plan. I think there's consensus that this has to be a living document. that we will learn as we go forward. We've learned a lot just in the past 24 hours with input from several individuals on the stage, but we'll be doing it together. This effort is designed for Columbia to be a leader in this space, and I think that's so very important. There's so many things that we're doing well here, and we're doing it well together. And there's no reason why we can't serve as a model for other communities that also want to make sure that we continue together to seek that more perfect union. So happy to field any questions, and I think I speak for the others up here as well. They'd be happy to answer as well.
When you look at what's happening right now, just in the past 2 days, Ferguson, New York, you see something there that is indicative of the state of law enforcement Is that what brought you to this point, or do you think this is something that what you're doing right now is something that you've been planning for a while?
Well, you know, the probably what says the most about the initiatives that we've outlined here, Jack, is that several of them are existing and will be enhanced. Some are already underway, and some are new, directly in response to some of the challenges that we're facing nationally. These are issues that I think it's become crystal clear that they're not unique to the communities that we see on the news every night, that they're very real across this country. So I'm proud of the fact that we've been leading in some of these spaces, and I believe that we can take that leadership to a whole nother level.
There are many people in this community who think that Columbia is really not that far away from the kind of powder keg in Ferguson. How would you assess how close Columbia is?
Sure, I would fundamentally disagree. The reality is, Chief referenced and Pastor Bishop took part of the lead in helping us assemble what I thought was a very real, very raw community forum that we had in the first week of September at the Eau Claire High School, in which we very intentionally wanted people to come there and share their concerns. People were there, and they shared them without any hesitation. Just that a few days later, we had the shooting on Broad River Road, and as you might suspect, the community had a very visceral response. The issue, the dialogue, has continued. The issue was handled. It was handled properly, and as a result, you saw that deep well of community trust that exists there help control the situation. I believe that our efforts are, it's always got to be an ongoing effort, Cliff. You don't build community trust in one press conference. You don't do it at one community hearing. You do it through ongoing and sustained, meaningful efforts. And this, again, is meant to be a significant effort that will hopefully fundamentally change not just the way that Columbia does its business, but the nation does its business. Had a great conversation with the chief. It may have just been yesterday, and I think it's fair to say he made the assessment, and I fully agreed that the events of the last week or two will probably do more to change policing than anything I think he's seen in his career. He could certainly speak to that much more eloquently. And it's important that forward-thinking cities, leading police departments, be in the vanguard of adjusting to making sure that we're the best at what we do.
To be clear, you're saying that because Gruber was charged in a white officer, African-American motorist situation, that demonstrates that Columbia is different than these other cities? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I said, Cliff.
No,
But that's not what I said. Well, I think you look at the community response. I mean, the fact of the matter is that we have the pastor of Grace Christian Church here with us. We have not only the pastor but the head of the National Action Network up here with us. We have the president of the Columbia Council of Neighborhoods and other neighborhood leaders up here with us. We have the president of the student body of the University of South Carolina We have a quorum of our city council with us, and I believe universal support, support of what we're doing. What this demonstrates is that relationships are healthy here, and also got a call from the Innocence Project asking that you reach out to them because they also are fully supportive of what we're doing here as well. I think what you're seeing is demonstrative of the fact that we have strong, deep, meaningful relationships that allow you to weather those difficult times. I think the resolution of that and the way it was handled by the Department of Public Safety and by the solicitor means that the system works. How can we make the system just that much more perfect? And that's what we're working on here today.
Chief, in the wake of the Ferguson decision and prior to the situation involving Eric Garner, a lot of people were saying body cameras may be a major component of the kind of changes that need to be made in order to ensure that what happens at a potentially explosive situation is properly documented so that you can avoid the kind of misunderstandings and misapprehensions that people had in Ferguson. Then the Garner grand jury comes back with the Millville, and now in the last 24 hours, I've heard a lot of people saying, well, that certainly proved that body cameras are of dubious value in police work, at least in terms of proving what happened. What do you think?
I think body cameras are certainly a game-changing instrument that will be at our disposal. I think judgment on the effect that it will have on how we police or how a citizen the citizen interaction with law enforcement may be is to be determined. There's a human element involved in that piece of equipment right now, and that's one of the problems is that it's you have issues to deal with when it comes on, when it goes off, storage of the captured video, how long you store it, when it's discoverable, when is it foilable. There's wide-ranging implications to it beyond just capturing the incident at hand. And then I would argue that it's better to have it and determine the value of having it than to not have it. And that's one of the reasons that I think it's so important for us to begin this audio and video program with our violent crimes. I think it's a way for us to demonstrate transparency in how we do business and how we investigate and how we interview and interrogate folks. And again, the technology's there, so I think it's the responsible thing to do is to use it to the extent that you can.
Mayor, who's going to appoint the Human Affairs Commission that you're referring to, and how large is it going to be, and what segments of the community is it going to represent?
City Council will appoint. We'll be having a nominee from each member of City Council, including myself, and it will be a position that will be staffed as well. So we're going to make sure we have a dedicated person administering the duties of the commission.
How do you see it working?
7.
How many,
Right now, we're looking at 7 members.
how do you see it working? Does it meet?
There are some models. There are some models. We're probably going to have it organized in our city's legal office, Cliff, with the person reporting to our chief legal counsel, Teresa Knox. And there are several models out there. There's a great model in Salt Lake City that we've been looking at the most as probably the way in which we'll go. Yes, with regular meetings, obviously. The workload will be determined by demand. I could very easily see the commission also being relied on fairly heavily for policy ideas for council to bring forward as well. And I forget Jack or Cliff who asked the question of the chief regarding the body cameras. I think it is important that we move forward in that effort, and I think the greatest example of the importance of body cameras is not necessarily in what grand jury did made what decision in the two cases in Ferguson and Staten Island. But I think the more broad sense of outrage, and while you had sometimes rather divisive positions on the Ferguson case, seen a much more significant sense of broad outrage from different corners of the community across the political spectrum on the Staten Island Garner case because of the video evidence that was available there. Our job is to make sure that we have well-trained, strong, thoughtful men and women on the streets enforcing the laws of the city and the state and the United States, and that we equip them with the best training and equipment that we could possibly give them, and that we promise that we'll have a transparent system of justice here in Columbia, South Carolina. So we believe cameras play a significant role in that process. Can play.
Given that you have a roughly 70-30 split by race on the police force now, and you're having trouble filling vacancies, how far away is it the goal of having a police force that reflects demographics of Columbia?
Well, our goal is to move as quickly as possible, maintaining the high standards that we have at the Columbia Police Department, and that'll be our goal as we move forward. I've been real pleased with the recruitment efforts thus far. We're in the final stages of completing a recruitment video that's been professionally done that we think will be very exciting, and we think it'll help that. We have some of our very best and brightest police officers that are participating in the recruitment campaign, and again, we think that group that is participating in the recruitment campaign certainly reflects our agency and our community, and they stand for the values and that we aspire to at the police department, and we think that's going to attract representation that represents our community. And I mean, I can't give you a timeline, Cliff, but
For what your goal is, that's a tall order, and so
our goal would be to match.
timeframe.
Our goal would be to match our community, and I mean, we logistically it takes almost 12 months to hire someone, go through the academy, and have boots on the street. So this will be a several-year process.
What's your pitch to those recruits? I mean, do you have to tailor your approach differently than you would with just sort of a generic effort to try to bring more people into the department?
I think the pitch is to come to a world-class police department that has an opportunity for advancement, career diversity. The difference between local, state, and federal law enforcement, is really a fine line anymore. But to me, what makes municipal law enforcement so unique is all the different opportunities that you have within an organization, and we certainly have that. The opportunity to community police in the community that you grew up in, police in a neighborhood, be a detective, be a bike officer, be a motorcycle officer, be a traffic officer, be a SWAT officer, be a drug investigator, be a homicide investigator, investigate arsons. I mean, it's dynamic and very, very interesting, and we have so much to offer in that arena, and we want to take advantage of that and really profile that. We want to recognize, and we're working on strategies to improve retention. We want to compensate for professional development. We're working hard to establish a program internally that recognizes professional development and education, and we think those are all things that will attract someone to want to make a career at the Columbia Police Department.
And do you say to those recruits, if you want justice in your community, you have to be involved in some way to represent your community?
I think absolutely. One of the things that was, I think, kind of a diamond in the rough that I took advantage of, and that we have made a big part of our marketing campaign with recruitment is the home loan program that the city has for for new hires. It's a terrific program that encourages home ownership within the city for those that live in the city, and again, that's a great opportunity that you know, we're really pitching hard as we recruit. We want folks to come join the Columbia Police Department, and we also want them to live in the neighborhoods and communities they're going to serve.
How many vacancies do we have?
45.
How much will it cost? How much will body cameras cost? Do you have any kind of a budget figure?
We do. This is rough, but it's probably going to be about $250,000.
Will it involve more personnel, like in terms of management of the data those officers receive every day?
That's kind of to be determined. Off the cuff, I would say not at this time, but again, the areas that are a little bit of unknown territory right now is the areas of data storage and compiling what data you have for dissemination, whether it's for court or for our friends in the media. You know, we're just not sure what's going to be involved for that, but so I think, as the mayor said, with all this is, you know, this initiative is fluid, and I think we'll have some course changes along the way.
Can you say who's going to own that data? I mean, is it the police department that will own it, or is it a matter of public record?
No, that data, the way I interpret that at this time is that data is evidence, and we would approach it as such, and until, you know, folks that are a lot smarter than me tell me otherwise.
As you've been doing your assessment since taking office of the operations of the police department, can you characterize, when you take the temperature of the relationship between the community and your department, can you characterize what that is right now? Is it good? Do you think you're communicating well with all segments of the community here, or do you think there are some areas where you've got some real shortfalls?
Well, first of all, I think the community relationship is very strong. But I will say one thing that kind of resonates with me, and I think it's consistent with every community meeting, is they want to know their police officers. They want to know their police officers personally. And where we fall short right now is having the staffing that allows us to have that community relationship with the beat officer. And I say this all the time. We want to have a staffing level that allows our officers to answer a call a third of the time, write the reports from those calls a third of the time, and then the remainder of that time should be parking, walking, getting to know the neighbors in their beat, having personal relationships, figuring out problems before they become crimes, and just being you know, a good partner in the community. And that's what I see consistently that our neighborhoods are hungry for. We were able to provide that type of service in a lot of the areas, but we can do a better job at that. And I think collectively that's where we're moving forward. I mean, we have to be problem solving, community oriented policing in our style, and that's our goal.
Chief, on the Internal Affairs Committee, whatever you call it, you're adding one civilian, or it's going to become entirely a civilian?
No, sir. It would not be a civilian review board. It's a chain of command, disciplinary review board, and we're proposing to put a civilian on that review board to participate.
How many people on the review panel?
It'll depend on the number of officers in the chain. You know, how big the chain of command is, but it would probably be between 5 and 7.
Wasn't clear, Mayor, on what you said about the first time what happened in the Fifth Circuit. Could you clarify what that is?
Are you talking about the?
I thought you were referring to recorded interviews in the final time.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
What he mentioned was we after the first of the year we're installing in 2 interview rooms in our criminal investigations audio and video recording, and we're going to require detectives to audio and video record all interviews and interrogation with suspects in violent crime investigations.
And will there be any independent review of those interrogations?
The solicitor.
That's it?
Yes, sir.
And so what you're saying is this would be the first police department in the Fifth Circuit that would have mandatory audio-video interviews of all suspects, or just all violent crime?
All violent crime suspects at this time. And again, that is something that we would like to expand, but that has to be a collaboration with the solicitor's office. This is what I think it's fair to call it a pilot program, where we look at the volume of cases and what's involved in that directive.
And this is about internal affairs. I understand you said there's some kind of reports going to be issued?
Yes, sir.
Could you explain that a little bit more, please?
I'll be glad to. We intend to produce annually, and we'll do so shortly after the first of the year also, a professional standards annual report. And that simply will contain information about what professional standards is responsible for, how we conduct investigations, the number of complaints that we have, what the outcomes of those complaints are, how we use force, who we use force on, when we use force, where we use force, what the outcomes of those are, and both in times where we do things correctly and in situations where we've made mistakes, that'll be reported publicly too. We'll also summarize vehicle crashes, and again, it's our way of really putting everything we do out there for people to understand the plight of the officer and what we're trying to do to be a world-class professional police department.
And when will that first report be published?
Sometime after the first of the year.
Now, what happens in officer-involved shootings? Will you stop using SLED and do them internally, or will SLED continue to do those?
No, business as usual. Just that SLED is, we're very fortunate, I think, in South Carolina to have a state agency like SLED that has such credibility and independence and the ability to do first-class investigations, unbiased investigations, and submit those reports to the solicitor's office. It's a fantastic system, and we're going to follow that system to the T.
And is it your practice that all officer-involved shootings are investigated by SLED?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Do you have any particular concerns with the way the grand jury system operates here?
No, sir.
Some municipalities, like, there's been, I think, some dialogue about that reforms are needed in the way cases are presented to grand juries, especially like what happened in both Ferguson and Staten Island. You don't see any particular issues there?
No, but I probably still get the latitude to say I've been here 8 months, and I couldn't make good judgment on that.
Chief, how many complaints have you received in 2014? Complaints about officers?
I don't know, Cliff, but I assure you that'll be in that report. I don't know off the top of my head.
Do you know enough to say whether it's about the same, more than, or less than?
No, I really don't.
Before you got here?
No, sir.
You got no information?
No, sir.
Right in front of them. All right. You done, Jack? You done?
I'm just going to ask you, what's your assessment of grand jury operations? Do you think that there's any particular issue there?
I agree with the chief. I can't speak to what happens in other states, and won't speak to it here as well just yet. I just know that within the world that we have jurisdiction and responsibility over policy making in the city of Columbia, and making sure that people in this police department is the people's police department, accountable to them, and that we're going to invest the time, the talent, and the treasures in making sure that we have a world-class police department, that we're doing what we can within our scope of responsibility. Thank y'all.
One last question about it. $250,000. Is council prepared to add that to the PD budget, or is it going to have to come out?
I think it's already in there. We just added this.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
No, we're between DOJ and identified funding.
We've identified the funding sources for it. The reality is that we have universal support on whichever appropriations may be necessary. We'll make them if, in fact, the opportunity to partner with DOJ becomes real and prompt enough to. Oh, we certainly will. We certainly will. We've demonstrated some real ability. Teresa, why don't you come up too? Some real ability with the grants writers in securing DOJ support through COPS in the past, and we'll certainly look to lever that up as well. But we'll make the commitment internally to making that happen, even in lieu of that.
Whatever DOJ grants don't do, city council will do.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.